Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Annette the Peacemaker from the Yang Gang Report live on Facebook. And with me today is my Yang Gang sister and just my sister in life, Faye the Lone Star Warrior. And Faye's down in Texas and I'm in Arizona. And we do have a guest scheduled today, Sola, but she has not joined us just yet. And so Faye and I are just gonna talk for a while, and then we'll talk about Sola's stuff when Sola joins us. So I'm going to start out. Faye's going to look up some stuff to share on the screen for us here in a little bit. But I wanted to tell a story of something that just happened, just now. Okay, I'm going to have to be careful because I don't hear Sola, because I don't want to give away too many identifying details. Hello, Sola. I'm about to tell a story.
Okay, I missed your call a couple times. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. Hi, Sola. Nice to see you.
Hey.
Nice to see you too. Okay, so here's the story. So
we decided to listen to Annette's story for a minute because we weren't sure when you were going to join us. So she has a doozy of a story to tell us about something that personal that happened today to her, and it's relevant to this time, this current moment in history.
Okay. Yeah, it's relevant to current events. Okay, so I grew up in a volatile environment. I'm a survivor of child abuse, sexual assault as a child molestation. I lived in foster homes. I have had many interactions with law enforcement all throughout my life. And the vast majority of those experiences have been negative experiences. Okay. So I have kind of like a mild form of PTSD surrounding that to the point where I am I'm getting emotional even just talking about it. I get really nervous and anxious and I get triggered by law enforcement. They might be the best human on the planet, but I'm going to be scared of them. Okay. So we have this friend, and I'm going to try to be super vague and still tell the story. So we have this friend. This friend came and stayed with us on our 5-acre ranch in Arizona for a while. And then that friend found a new significant other. And then they left our place and went and started staying with their new SO. The new SO happens to be, at the time, they were a corrections officer and just getting ready to retire from law enforcement, but they were a sheriff before that, I believe, or like a deputy sheriff, something before being a corrections officer. Okay. So I've met this person twice in the last 7 months, and I don't think we've spent more than 1 full hour face to face talking to each other over a 7-month period. And they tend to tell us lots of things like, well, we'll be there on Saturday. We'll be there on Wednesday. We'll be there at 3:00. We'll be there next week. We'll be there next month. And then they don't come. And so they called us on Monday and said that they were going to be here on Wednesday, yesterday, I think. So they were supposed to be here yesterday. And I told the friend that we've known for a while, I told that friend that I was like, I'm not going to believe you until you are physically right in front of my face. You know, you haven't given me any reason to believe you up to this point. And then, our friend is a Trump supporter, and they took their little hat out, their little Trump hat, and put that on. It says Trump 2020 on it. And he's like, oh yeah, we're going to have so much fun living together and stuff like that. And then tried to convince me to vote for Trump and stuff like that. And it was just so weird. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to vote for Trump. I said, I already have reservations about having a Trump supporter living with me. But then I also have a lot of anxiety about having a former cop. The significant other is now retired, but not even like a month ago, Okay. So I was going to have a Trump supporter and a cop living on my property with me. My anxiety is through the freaking roof. And it has been for months. For 7 months, I've been worrying about, like, are they going to show up? Are they going to show up? And I'm trying to, like, emotionally and mentally prepare myself and, like, arm myself and put up my walls and get ready, like, for the insurrection or something, you know, like, I feel like a battle is imminent, and I have been preparing for this battle for 7 months. And so I mentioned to our friend that like, I've got a lot of anxiety about this, you know. This person is basically a stranger to me. I don't know them. And they are in law enforcement. And I have, like, panic attacks when I am in the presence of law enforcement. So I was just trying to, you know, kind of, like, present myself like the reality of what is, you know. I'm nervous around cops. Okay. So then they went silent for a long time. They didn't show up yesterday, of course. Shocker. And then, so today, my husband, because I'm not friends with the cop on Facebook, thank God. And so she sent, I just identified the gender, sorry. They sent this message to my husband, okay? Says, let me tell you something. Don't ever try to contact me again, and tell your POS wife that she can suck a dick. I wouldn't ever come onto your ghetto ass property. And if I did, who you gonna call to get me off? The cops? How so? You don't like cops. Don't call 911, call a crackhead. And don't call paramedics either, or the fire department. We are all one big family. Fucking unreal. You are leeches on society. Sit back and expect free handouts. After I gave you stuff and allowed you into my home when I was away. I'll explain that in a sec. You are both pathetic. Goodbye. So as they were getting ready to retire, they were also selling their home because they were going to come move here. Okay. So she sold her home and they needed to get rid of some furniture. And so my husband and I went out there and they gave us some of her furniture. You know, they gave us like a lawnmower that didn't work, a trimmer, like a weed trimmer that didn't work. You know, just like a few things were nice. And then a few things were just basically junk and just kind of garbage. So it was like half and half, you know. And then our friend has been telling my husband that he bought my husband a truck months ago. And then we're just like, well, yeah, we'll come and pick up the truck. When are we going to pick up the truck? And for 7 months, it's always, oh, no, the truck's in the shop now. You just bought the truck. How is there anything wrong with the, you know what I'm saying? All right. So enough about that. What I really wanted to talk about is how a person that comes from law enforcement responded to my anxiety about being around law enforcement.
Yeah.
Fred.
Sola,
yeah.
Have you ever had any bad, have you ever had some bad, I don't know, interactions with policemen?
Yeah, I have. Absolutely. Not even particularly just policemen. I could talk about two specific instances. One is in which I got back from a trip out of town and my car died. I think I was about 19, 20 at the time. And my car was in the garage and it had died. So I needed to get it towed. And the tow truck company, as they were towing the vehicle, I could see that they were denting it at the same time as they were trying to get it out of the garage. So I said, stop everything. This has to be fixed. This has to be sorted. And so they continued to deny that it was them. And I'm still in the process of trying to get the car out of the garage. It's not completely out there yet. So I ended up having to call the airport police so that they could come and handle it. And these are the tow truck company. There are these two big dudes, and there's me standing there waiting for the officer with like my stuff and my books in my hand. And as soon as the officer comes up, he puts his hand up at me. He says, "Stay over there, ma'am. Stay over there," and goes and talks to the tow truck guys who are white, by the way. So that was, I felt, a really interesting experience. Did I learn anything from that? Not particularly. That there's racism.
You already knew that. That wasn't like new to you.
Yeah. It didn't really teach me much. And I also remember another instance, and it wasn't law enforcement per se, but it was a time I went to go pick my younger brother up. I think it was just after I gotten my driver's permit, and he was at school at a friend's house. Well, he was at a school friend's house. And I forgot the directions and exactly how to get there. I think we were using like MapQuest at the time or something like that. Certainly nothing as sophisticated as what we have now. So I ended up in a different side of the community, of the subdivision. And I knock on the door and I see a couple of kids peek through it, a woman. I'm like, "Oh, hi," thinking, okay, they're going to open the door. I'm going to get my brother. And they they leave the front of the house for a bit. And this guy shows up and he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm here to pick up my brother." "Is this the right address?" He's like, whose house was it again that you said? I gave him the last name. He's like, "Oh, do you have the full name?" I gave him the whole name. He's like, "Oh, sorry, this is not the right house." Okay, fine. I'm on my way, and I'm going to back out of the garage area of the driveway. And he specifically asked me to go a certain way so that he would be able to see my driver's license, or my driver's plate rather, because
your license plate.
Yeah. So I'm thinking he thought that I was had some sort of nefarious intentions because of the color of my skin. And, it was after dark in the neighborhood. That also reminds me of something called sundown laws. Have you heard of it?
No.
Sundown laws. So
is it like curfew, basically curfew, or what?
Curfew for Black people, yeah. So
only for Black people.
Only for Black people. This is as recent as 50 years ago. This is all over Michigan too, and I live in the Detroit area. So I was really surprised to even start. I was learning about my own local history, and didn't believe that there are these laws in certain cities, which to this day remain very much segregated and very much predominantly white. And these particular cities, they would have these laws called sundown laws, and they would. It was a social thing. I'm not sure if it was even actually a legal policy, although, as a matter of fact, it might have been at one point. But the rule states that that Black people have to leave that neighborhood before the sun goes down. Otherwise, they might receive acts of violence. Yeah.
So, yeah, probably older police people never left those laws behind, even if they did get rid of them at some point.
Yeah.
In some communities, they've just been policing for so long.
Yeah.
But this is a younger lady that. And anyway, Annette is not Black, obviously. And, the police have gotten way past just doing stuff to only certain people. They're right now being attacked and have lost their minds entirely, I think. And for me, obviously I have issues with the police because I've been arrested before by the police and not been treated well. And I feel that, to me, it feels like police people have been hired to not use their moral judgment. And so that does not make you a good person if you're going to put your own moral judgment away and just obey, or follow like this terrible sort of, protect your own and everybody else is, just, if you don't go with us, if you don't do what we say, then you're on your own and, see what happens. My goodness. Annette told me about this thing called the bootlicker bingo. So I'm going to put that up right now. Let's take a look at what this thing is. This is the first time I've heard of it. Can you guys see it now? There it is.
There it is.
So,
okay. So
literally hit this
from
one.
my message alone.
Yeah.
Next time you need help, call a crackhead. That's right there. So I wish that I could block these off.
Oh, right. How do I do that? I wish I could get that up. I wish I knew how to do that.
I know. If we could edit the picture somehow, that'd be great. Do you see
a pointer when I do this?
Yeah, we can see your pointer.
Oh, you can see my pointer? So there's one. That's one thing I can do. I can point at it.
Okay, good. There you go. So, but these are common defenses of cops murdering people or brutalizing people or abusing their power or whatever it is that they are doing bad. And these are some of the excuses that come up. And the next time you need help, call a crackhead, we heard in that message. And that is hilarious to me. Oh my God.
But I can't believe that is a thing that they say so often that it gets put on the bingo list. I mean, I can't believe they say these things. Some of them seem pretty obvious, but wow, that one seems like, wow. They say that to people?
Yeah. I mean, the bad apple one, we've all heard thousands of times. I would like to obliterate that from our vernacular, bad apples.
Well, this is the one I've always I don't like the officers just doing their job. I'm sorry, but if your job is not to be a good human first, then the job you're in is training you wrong. We're sending people to do the wrong things.
I think also a lot of people forget the second part of that phrase, bad apples. It says a few bad apples spoils the bunch. That's the full phrase. So let's use it correctly. If
what they're supposed to do. Yeah, what we're supposed to do is find those bad apples and kick them out. You're not supposed to help them and keep them in.
Give them a promotion and a raise.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
All right. Well, let me put up what Fred says.
Oh, here we go.
Fred says, I think it's time to reform our police departments. This is our opportunity. We're in the midst of the most significant civil rights movement in history. Let's use this moment. I agree with you, Fred.
Well,
that's what we're trying to do.
The thing is, that a lot of activists, though, and even there, I don't know if everyone has seen this very long form article on Medium, supposedly by someone who's ex-police, and essentially making a case for why there is no way to reform the police. It's rotten from inside out. So now is the time, he was saying, for us to start looking for other solutions, maybe what works in other countries, maybe what works in other states and other cities that have already defunded their police. Camden, New Jersey is one of them, in which they completely defunded the police. Now they have a system of community officers, if you will, community enforcement, and they also have kind of this private paid cops that they also use. And I think they went in this direction. I don't know for sure, but I think they might have chosen this direction because they don't have to deal with a police union, if that is the direction that they go in, because these unions, they're the ones who protect these bad apples. So how do we reform police without getting rid of the unions or without reforming the unions? I don't know.
Right. So this next comment, this is my best friend Kayleen. She lives in Montana, and I miss her terribly. But she says, I can testify to the mistreatment of people struggling with mental health issues while interacting with and or in custody of law enforcement and others paid by tax dollars. The criminalization of mental illness. Perhaps another time, 1 in 4 encounters end violently, my own included. P.S. Annette, I'm so proud of you. Thank you, darling. Okay, so Kayleen, that's an excellent point, and I would love to schedule a time, and let's get, I just while I was sitting here waiting for a break to be able to put your comment up, I've already thought of 2 other people that can join us in that conversation. So yeah, I would love to do that. Let's get together and figure that out. Okay. Cause you have a really compelling story to tell, and I was there for it. So I can attest to it. You know, I know exactly what she's talking about.
We should schedule a time when is that a time to talk about police brutality in general? So we can all come and tell our stories about how brutal, police people or sheriffs, or who else do we have? The federal marshals. We've got like all kinds of people who think that they're entitled to like do horrible things to other people and never have any sort of there's no consequences for them. So
and by extension, people who are making citizens arrests now that think that they also have the ability to act in some sort of official law enforcement capacity.
Oh. Wow. Yeah. We haven't even started on the lynchings that we think might have been happening lately. People found hanging in trees.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yep.
I never thought I'd see that like in my lifetime.
In our lifetime,
you know.
Again, right.
Yeah.
It's like coming all full circle right back. So I actually wanted to introduce Sola a little bit.
There actually have been lynchings in the South. I think as recently as less than 10 years ago. So
right now some stuff is happening.
Yeah, I know. And the police are trying to classify it as suicides, and I feel like what's disturbing about that is the not knowing part. You know, we're not sure exactly what's going on there, but something clearly is.
So Sola, I wanted to introduce you to everyone because we didn't do that like right at the beginning. And Sola is, I first met Sola through Fred Ramey because Sola and Fred were working together on Truckers for Yang. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Truckers for Yang.
What else have you been involved in, Sola? Because Truckers for Yang is now moving to Truckers for UBI, right?
Yeah, so we're in the process of transitioning to Truckers for UBI and doing more UBI advocacy specifically. Fred's doing some organizing with other truckers, and you know, before everything came to a head, I think early in March there were already protests. The truckers were already protesting in DC for some of the policies that have been passed in terms of transparency regarding how much pay, you know, what pay is going where. So that policy has already been passed, but it's not being enforced. So they were essentially pushing for that because what has happened during the pandemic is that these brokers, who are the ones who book these truckers, they've been trying to pay the truckers less and saying that they're getting paid less because of the pandemic and et cetera, et cetera. And there's no way to confirm it because none of the information is transparent. So that's what the truckers were really going for. That was what their protests were about. And then we started seeing, even within a pandemic, seeing Black people killed by police. Like even during a pandemic, Black people can't catch a fucking break, excuse my French. So that's the focus, obviously, of what's happening in our reality in our day-to-day lives right now. But back then, that's what we were looking to do, is organize on behalf of truckers, start advocating for UBI. specifically. So there are a lot of different projects that we had in the works within that vein. And one of them was lobby the lobbyists. So the idea is that corporations and UBI benefits them too, to such an extent that they should take whatever's in their lobbying budget, coffers, and all the bandwidth and energy and human resources that they use to lobby for their own established causes, take that or percentage of that and use it to lobby on behalf of UBI and help us pass some of these bills, because at the end of the day, it will positively impact your bottom line. So we started to parse through the numbers and talk to economists and put like a video campaign together. But we've now, since it's still in the works, so there's still progress there. We still need actually support with that from any economists, data scientists, and people who understand corporate finance, or at least accounting, corporate accounting would also be very helpful for that. So that's lobby the lobbyists. And on the TFY side, yeah, that's primarily what we've been working on. And
is there anything you'd like me to put up on the screen to share with people to help
I was gonna
people
say,
get to know about that?
For the lobby,
and I was going to say, if I can make a little banner with all the contact info, like, you know.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Where people can find you. Mm-hmm.
So let me know what you need, Annette, and how I should get that to you. Maybe when we're live, I can send it over Messenger probably.
Well, we're live now.
Yeah, we're live right now, honey.
I mean, as we're live, while we're live.
While we're live right now.
Something and put it up as a banner.
For sure. Do you see the little, put it in the private chat over here, our little private chat on the right. Okay, and then I can just copy and paste it and make a little banner.
Okay, great.
So maybe like any website. I already know your name on Facebook, so I'll put your name on Facebook and your Twitter handle, and then any website that you would like to put up. Basically, any information you give me, I will put it in the banner.
Okay. That sounds perfect.
So do you want people to reach you through your Twitter, for example, for Truckers for UBI, or do you want them to go to the website? What do you want people to do?
Through my Twitter would be great. My Twitter is SOLAO. And one of the biggest thing that we're working on right now, rather what a lot of my Truckers for UBI time is spent working on right now, is something called a TP Brigade. And TP stands for toilet paper. It's an initiative to get.
I've got that ready.
Yeah, I actually entered it in the chat, so Annette can maybe make a banner out of that.
Yep. I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah, that's our first drop off to Focus Hope of 400 individually wrapped toilet paper rolls. And now we have another drop off of 400 going to them either tomorrow or early next week when I can get over there. And then I have one of my clients who I do but what I do in my day-to-day is I'm a digital marketing consultant. So I do paid social campaigns, social media, website development, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why the Truckers for Yang website looks as good as it does. Okay. Be patting myself on the back. And there are a lot of different people that helped out with that too. But the TP Brigade, we're raising funds currently, and those funds will 100% be dedicated towards getting these hard to find supplies to people who need them. So right now they're going to an organization called Focus Hope in Detroit, and they serve 300 to 400 senior citizens that are homebound every month. So right now the supplies that are being gathered are going directly to them. So 400, I was going to say 400 hand sanitizers from client of mine called DivDat Technologies. They have these payment kiosks in low income communities, mostly here in Michigan, some in Nevada, few in Iowa. And the way that a lot of people who are lower income pay off their bills is a little at a time, not all at once. So every single time there's money put towards that bill, there's a transaction fee incurred. And when you pay with the multiple payments, it's multiple transaction fees to pay one bill. So what this particular client does, and I'm excited to work with them. They're a fantastic company, and it's really a joy to work with them. What they do is they allow people to pay with cash, check, or credit card without transaction fees, period. regardless of how few or how many times you make a deposit, and that's essentially what they do. They're pretty much putting money back into the neighborhoods. So they're going to be donating. Cool. Yeah, they're going to be donating 400 hand sanitizers to Focus Hope as well. So
and
far,
Focus Hope is in your community, or which community did you pick, and why did you pick that one?
Focus Hope is in Detroit. I picked Focus Hope because I live in the Detroit area. I do a lot of work in the city. I participate in community events. I help organize activist events. So I led
you were already familiar with this group before you decided to work together with them.
Yes, I was very familiar with Focus Hope. I hadn't worked directly with them before, but I knew about them. I knew about their free engineering programs and their free, what is it called? Is it labor or what is it called? Trade school. There are free trade school programs. There are free food programs. I mean, it's a community center that people can go in that has like a daycare and courses, the different classes, and has a lounge, has a coffee shop. It's a very it's the center of the community, and they're a force in the city of Detroit. And as of right now, with COVID disproportionately still affecting Black people more than any other demo, I thought it was incredibly important for us to start with COVID outreach in Detroit. So it's Focus Hope. That's our main recipient for our donations.
Okay, and I think Truckers for Yang is moving into Truckers for UBI. Have you actually changed your name, or you still just kind of go with TFY PAC, or how's going on? What's happening?
TFY is now a registered organization. So as far as TFY PAC goes, that will always be the name of the PAC itself. So anything else that we want to build on top of that will not necessarily have the Yang name in it. And then ideally, in 2024 or 22, and if Andrew decides to make that announcement, then we just flip it all back to Truckers for Yang and get back on track.
Yeah, this is the pinned tweet on the Truckers for UBI right now about when you heard the honking during the Donald Trump press conference. I love that because my son Zephyr was saying, let me see if I can find. Did we put this in here?
Yeah, I think you responded to it. I thought that was the cutest thing.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is what Zephyr said. Zephyr said, I think that is a stupid thing to say because they actually don't love him. They would not be honking if Andrew Yang was there. Because Trump was, obviously he was trying to say, oh, they're honking because they love me. They're not protesting. It's like, really?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not why they were honking. Yeah. So, actually, could you please, Faye, would it be possible for you to pull up the TP Brigade?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Let's see.
Yeah, and then there's more information regarding the what and the why, so people can read it and get more insights into the TP Brigade.
Okay, here we go. Put that share screen up. And okay.
It is.
So this is what it looks like when you go in. It takes you to the Act Blue, which will be benefiting the TFY PAC.
Yes. And then if you scroll down, there's a lot of, I don't know, are you able to zoom in on that, Faye?
Yep, I can do that. Can you see it better now?
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, so essentially, I'll read the main parts of it. So humanity is struggling like we never have before to keep ourselves safe. Some of us aren't able to leave our homes to gain access to staple items, the very products that will keep us healthy. This fundraiser is for them, the people who are at the highest risk of contracting COVID-19 and needing critical care in our hospitals. We'll be providing toilet paper, hand sanitizers, face masks, and cleaning products. Those items will go to Focus Hope, a nonprofit located in Detroit, Michigan. The food program serves over 41,000 meals a month to seniors, households, and families. So those 41,000 meals are through all of their programs. That's who all of their programs serve in mass. But the 300 to 400, the first series of those products being really given directly to that particular segment is because they're homebound, meaning they should not be leaving the home for any reason, and that they're seniors. So they're a double whammy high risk group. So, but ideally we would like to, these 45,000 people that they serve is essentially the pool of people that would need this kind of support as well.
And here you have a GoFundMe also.
Yes. So for a lot, if you look at the contribution rules, so the money is being donated through the PAC and administered through the PAC. And you see some of the stipulations for donating to a PAC includes being a U.S. Citizen, permanent resident, and such, and not a federal contractor, et cetera, et cetera. So for people who don't necessarily meet all of that criteria, or just simply don't want to be in the Act Blue system, or because when people make donations to a PAC, then it has to be publicly stated in your FEC filing. So if that's another reason for them wanting to circumvent this, then they can always go to the GoFundMe and make a donation there.
I love how thoughtful you are and how you've covered all the bases on this. Let's take a look at, I want to bring up your Truckers for Yang also, just out of, let's see, let's put that one up too. I love this photo.
Oh, the website. Thank you.
This is how you contact Sola.
Yeah, that's actually the Detroit fundraiser. That's a funny story. So I actually contacted the Detroit Yang Gang chapter a week or so, I think a little over 2 weeks before the debates, thinking, okay, maybe they have tickets. I would like to be there to watch the debates. It's going to be in my city. And I get in touch and they say, oh, we might have access to that, but hey, what are your skill sets? Oh, I do marketing, I do event production, et cetera, et cetera. They're like, wow, well, we have a fundraiser that still has to be planned.
So immediately just got a thing dropped in your lap.
Fundraiser? Sorry?
You immediately got a thing just dropped in your lap, like just from mentioning that you had skills.
Exactly. That happened. So I think it took a few days to kind of understand what the goal was, and really get clear on things and where everything was. And essentially a new event had to be planned and promoted from scratch. So I did that. We did that in about a week and a half.
Who's we?
So that is the Metro Detroit chapter, Yang Gang. Do you know who Mark Klockow is?
I don't
I know that name.
Personally know all the people in Yang Gang everywhere.
Yeah, I'm friends with him and I follow him on Twitter. I know that name.
Yeah, he actually has done some of the best photography work on the campaign with Andrew. So there are a lot of, in fact, actually, Faye, if you scroll up on this website, well, first of all of the photos, the polished photos on the site are by Mark, but if you go all the way to the top, you'll see his work. See that photo? You see that photo in the background of the truck? That was the very first night that the truck had been wrapped and was out, and that was in Ohio. And he just took this excellent shot. He's taken some great shots of Andrew and Evelyn, and he was at every single debate and every single debate rally, and then was in Iowa while we were there too.
Hi, Zephyr.
Hello.
You want to get your dinner? Okay, eat your dinner, sweetie.
Very, very hot.
That's awesome. But the reason I put it down here where it says where you were, okay, is because I love how it says here that computers were your first love because you're a self-declared geek in disguise.
I am.
And I thought this was actually a great way to lead into the next thing that you've been doing lately, which I think a lot of people might not think of it as being all that important necessarily because there's all this other stuff going on that just seems so urgent. You know, you've got to elect all these down ballot people. You've got to, you know, be phone banking, text banking, doing all this work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you've got to be, you know, out protesting. My goodness. I mean, you might get, you know, hit with a rubber bullet. You might get, you know, tear gassed. You might go to jail. There's all these heavy things that are going on. And then the COVID-19, somebody could get sick. And, you know, we're constantly on about all of these terrible things that are going on. But you're actually doing something that seems somewhat lighthearted. And I think people are not giving it the attention that it deserves. And so anyway, I wanted to bring you on to talk about that a little bit. But one of the great things that's going on in with your collaboration with Fred is that you've got a man and a woman, right? I mean, that's just like, I think the most basic, you know, you got the man and the woman together working on something. And I think that's pretty important is that in Yang Gang, I think oftentimes we are all about Andrew and we do love Evelyn a lot. But because Evelyn is at home more, you know, and she was brought in later, I don't think there was like that sense of, you know, how you really need the women to join the movement and be really active and be leaders, right? So women have a different point of view about what's important. Sometimes it's not about just doing work all the time, right?
Yeah, it's so I just wanted to touch on our dynamic, Fred and I's dynamic. Yeah, it's men and women, so it's gender equal, and we're a team. But we always say that it's such an unlikely pair, you know, like Yang Gang entirely kind of has. We're such a diverse group, you know, previous Trump supporters, libertarians, lots of independents, people who are pro-capitalism, anti-capitalism, you know, it's just all across the board. And we said, you know, that's kind of what our dynamic is like too. You know, it's this, I think it's from Missouri. It's this 45-year-old trucker from Missouri and partnered in an organization with this 36-year-old Nigerian immigrant businesswoman. You know, like it was just a very unlikely pair. So yeah, we feel like it was it's an indication of how, you know, the more different we are, the more we can create and grow and work with each other and create a better world.
Yeah, so it's the differences though are just so slight compared to what you have in common. The common purpose of it is driving you guys to work together and work out differences and work out things. I mean, because you guys do have differences, right?
Definitely. Yeah, like in any partnership, you know, there's going to be differences. So it's always, I mean, Faye, you're very, you're smiling. You're very aware of part of the dynamic and, you know, like the process we often need to go through to you know, stay adhere to FEC policy.
But that's what I love about this is that because of the two of you, you know, it's been very successful, I think. And you guys have done some amazing things. I loved the truck wrap. I think everybody felt that was a big success for the Yang Gang to get the trucks wrapped.
Yeah, and we were on truck number 4 when he decided to call it. But yeah,
made us feel so proud. I think the whole Yang Gang just so proud of that. You know, even when sometimes there's, you know, people cannot get along in the group, but the fact that we've accomplished things, you know, is really, I think, important. And so right now in this time, why are you trying to put together a singles mingle? Let's get down to tact.
Well, that really came about because I'm single and I was watching this, what was it? I had joined this Humanity First Yang Gang dating group. It had always existed during, you know, the course of Andrew's run or for a decent amount of it. So I joined the group and I thought, you know, there are 800 people in this group and it doesn't look like there's much interaction going on. You know, I wonder how a space for singles that that are in line with Yang Gang values of abundance and putting humanity first. I wonder how we can create a space for connections to be made, and really a space where it's more about learning about one another. It's more about sharing information and building friendships. And the idea is that that it could facilitate a romantic relationship, but that's not necessarily the dead-on goal. You know, the initial goal. So it's just people who are single connecting in a space that's specifically for them. You know, so the conversations and that are being discussed can touch on that. You know, and then it's not so out of ordinary. You know, it's not like it's not a content hijack. You know, so. Oh, that's really cool. How'd you do that?
Well, I'm trying to share my screen. Is it making an echo when I do that? Because it gave me a tip not to share the audio. Can you hear like an echo?
No.
Okay. So I switched over to the Yang Gang Singles Mingle Zoom event.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to tell people about how to go to this if they want to join?
Yeah, so I would suggest that everyone who's interested in joining, if you Google, rather if you search it on Facebook, you search Yang Gang Dating.
Okay, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay, great.
Aha, there's two things. I'm going to pick that first one, Humanity First Dating.
Yang Gang Humanity First Dating is the name of the group, yes.
I already joined, you see? I did a good job.
So you hit join.
There's the original dating couple up there with their with the fruit of their dating.
So this is where all the updates are made.
There we go.
So that was the event for last Saturday. So I'm actually in the process of putting up the event for this upcoming Saturday, and we're going to start doing special guests. So our very first special guest is going to be Dr. Quintus Jett. And he was a co-founder of Abundance for America. They were another grassroots founded super PAC during Andrew Yang's campaign. And he's going to be sharing this additional information and what he's been up to. He's in the process of writing a book. He's a dual PhD. He's a Ivy League professor, and he's brilliant. He created something called treasure maps during the campaign itself, which was a way to classify counties across the country in a way that would provide more direction to all of us that were working in various capacities on the grassroots level. So he had a system in which he would classify the counties as Y, A, N, or G. And that would be an indicator as to whether it was a rural community, whether it was an inner city community, whether it was a diverse community, whether it was both diverse and near a highway. And that was really what we were supposed to be targeting for the trucks, because it gave us a way to place the trucks and a way to drive which areas we should be driving in, because the trucks were super-sized mobile billboards, to ensure that the most amount of people saw them. So, and we haven't really announced this yet, but in the duration of the trucks being on the road,
well, now you have.
We were able to capture over 4 million eyeballs. So
wow, yeah, with the trucks.
Yes, with the trucks alone. So, and then we'll break down the ratio of the return on investment, because each truck was 10,000, and to provide more clearer metrics so that people really understand the impact that was able to be made by their one donation. Some people would say, "Oh, I can only donate $1. I can only donate $5." It still helped. If we should even, what I'll probably do even is break it down to the dollar. Like how many views did your dollar get? So people really have a clear idea. They understand the impact that they made, which was significant.
Yeah, people really like to know. Like we're big data fans here in math, in our math group.
All about the data, yeah.
But okay, so your singles mingles though is taking place every Saturday from 8 to 11.
Yes, it takes place every Saturday from 8 to 11 on Zoom.
That's Eastern.
Eastern, yes. 8 to
you guys
11
need
Eastern.
to get your everybody out there in internet land. We have to pay attention to those time zones. It's very important right now.
Yes, they certainly are. And also this Saturday, I don't know when anyone would be watching this, but this upcoming Saturday is June 27th. This is the Saturday in which we'll have our special guest, Dr. Quintus Jett. But if you would like to stay updated on, future guests, developments,
do you want to sit with me?
Communication from other single Yang Gang, this is the group to join, the Yang Gang dating group. Hi, Zephyr.
Well,
hello.
Unfortunately, you can't see you on the screen right at this minute, but that's Sola talking to you. So that's the thing is I feel like we cannot do politics together and only politics together, because the way that we build trust isn't through arguing with each other online about who we're going to vote for this year, which one I'm going to phone bank for today, or like doing work constantly. All work and no play makes us extremely dull group.
Yeah.
We're a group that just doesn't hang together if we don't hang together, right?
That's funny that you mentioned that. I used to organize this monthly happy hour series for social media professionals called Social Media as a Party, and that was one of the things that we said is that playtime and downtime and outside of work is where connections are really made. So
actually, I want to call Zephyr back for a minute because I wanted to ask Zephyr something. Come on, Zephyr, I have a question to ask you. Come here.
What is it?
Let me turn off the sharing for just a minute so Zephyr can talk to us like a normal, like he can actually see you. Come here. Okay. Zephyr, I wanted to ask you.
I'm getting heavy.
You're heavy? What? So I've been asking Andrew, right, if he would please live stream Mario Kart for us like he had promised to do right before he suspended. But it was like kind of depressing because he said if we just meet this funding goal, right, and then we didn't. So, and then everything just fell apart and then we all forgot about it. But the reason I'm asking him to do that is because I feel like there hasn't been a lot of really fun stuff for kids,
Yeah, that's true.
Zephyr has been there with me every step of the way. So every time I'm out at an event or something, Zephyr is there too. And it's very hard for him to also, to be a little tiny activist and have nothing to do but jump around with his sign and enjoy that, I wish there was stuff that the kids can do together, and then more of us parents could all get together too.
Yeah.
So now we've got the singles mingle.
Yeah.
We need something for the parents to do together so we can actually hang with our kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Zephyr enjoyed some of the other kids at the Dallas rally, but there was no event there for the kids. So I wanted to ask everybody here if we could think of things that we can do as families together also. Well, Zephyr, what would you like to do, for example, if we were going to get together with all the Yang Gang? Would you like that?
I still don't know.
You still don't know? Do you like playing video games together?
Yes, I like playing video games.
Yeah. So that was one idea, was that it would be really fun to watch Andrew play video games for us and talk to us about whatever at the kids level.
Yeah, I'm sure Christopher would be part of it too.
Really?
Yeah, why not? Everyone's at home, Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Well, then whoever has Andrew's ear needs to put a little buzz in his ear and make it happen. Make it so.
I think Andrew might be feeling like, how would that look at this time?
Is that okay?
Sure, you can go. Okay. Yeah. How would that look right now when things are so,
What if we did it with Evelyn?
Difficult?
What if we did it with Evelyn instead?
Instead of Andrew, yes, I could see that. But you know how dads play with kids? So there's sort of that dad playing with kids type of thing too. Mommy's playing with kids is awesome too. Story time, as Fred Ader is saying, we could do story time for kids. I did a puppet show with Zephyr, which I would love to share with people, but I've never. I kind of shared it through Yang Gang Report at some point. But I don't want to try to do it now because the audio doesn't always work for us. Do you think I should try to share that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a 6-minute like little thing that Zephyr did, and it's a little complicated. Maybe I'll do that later while you guys are talking. I'll put it up. But so there's the other thing is Sola. I think that something that has happened for you in terms of getting the singles mingle together is that we've been getting more men in the group than women.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, lots of men. Yeah. I think once it has been gender equal. I think that was the very second one that we've done. And then recently, yeah, so typically it tends to be double or even triple the number of men to women. And what's interesting is that when I share it on Twitter or even in the Women for Yank Facebook group, it looks like there's interest, there's engagement with the post. But then I think it's probably because I'm assuming as a woman, speaking from my own personal experience, it usually takes some planning to get something on the calendar. And then there's a whole process of getting ready. What will I wear? People are treating this like an actual date and putting their best foot forward. So it's much easier much easier for men than women to do that. So I'm assuming that is the issue. But also I think what's really important, and the reason that we're adding a special guest is that we need to have some structure, and it's easy enough to have these open conversations that cover different subject matter. And yet it's incredibly important because it helps us stay connected. But what we were thinking is, how can we do this in a more structured manner? How can we do this even in a way that people see someone that they would even want to date and they join it specifically to learn more about that person? So that's partially the reason for the special guest spotlight. So actually, in Faye,
the most eligible bachelor.
Yeah, bachelors and bachelorettes. Yeah. So Faye, actually,
Quintus would be a catch.
Now that you mentioned, though, Faye, you mentioned the single parents. Why can't that be part of the singles mingle? Do you think?
I'm a single parent.
Exactly. Specifically, including single parents in there.
So I can think of some reasons why it's hard for me to do it. For example, for me, dating is so much more than like meeting people right now. Is great, but I'm in this remote area of Texas. Mm-hmm. And I literally can't see people. Nobody ever comes here. So I am 100% going to be loyal to Fred until, I don't know, this movement expires or one of us is no longer here, because Fred is the only Yang Gang who has actually come out to me, to my rural town.
Okay. I was unclear on the source for the loyalty.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, got it. So, okay.
I've met a lot of Yang Gang now because I've traveled. So I've gone to Houston, I go to Dallas, I traveled to California once. And each of the times I traveled, I sought out the Yang Gang there, But in the rural areas, we are so neglected that literally no politicians ever come out to us. And I also feel that way about dating. I'm pretty sure that I could meet anybody I want, but it's also going to be very difficult for them to come out to me in the rural area. And I feel stuck here, like I'm never leaving. Like I'm just going to be stuck here forever. And so it's really difficult right now in terms of that, because I don't want Zephyr to get like real. That's another thing with the young people, they get attached, and I don't want him to feel attached to somebody and then not be able to ever, get together with those people. So it's difficult. I think for us, Yang Gang is like national. So one of the issues about dating is, can you actually get together now? So
yeah. I understand what you're saying. So for me, because I work in digital, I'm not necessarily locked down to my location. So I'm location independent. So it's a little and a lot of people in Yang Gang, very tech forward, and a lot of us do work in digital. I recognize that is a serious privilege. And I understand where you're coming from too, and that well, first of all, yours is there are a couple of things there. One is that you live in a remote area, that has not really, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but has not really been able to meet your needs as far as socializing, as far as potential partner goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've actually put several times on my own like Twitter, I would say, dating exclusively gang from now on. But it's kind of an aspirational thing, it would be nice to be with somebody who actually shares my values. And I think yang automatically does that,
Yeah,
So
I completely agree. So, maybe this is the question too. There's this big group of, I think it's over 850 people now. How can we be more effective about creating this or even making sure that there's awareness regarding this? Because I think the most we've ever had on one call is maybe 9 people in one night. And then people also pop in and pop out as they wish. But I think in a course of maybe 9, maybe 10 people on one Saturday.
Okay, so that's why, I tried to get more women in for you because we happen to have one of these women's sort of, all the women, show up on the Twitter. And so I said, hey, why don't I also let them know that this thing is happening, right? So I think one part of it is like just putting out, messages regularly to people saying, hey, this is here. But also we have to like design a way that people feel, I think we have to maybe tweak the design of it. So for me, like, for example, I tried to let also the same group of people know that there's a compassion course. So Annette, can you put that up for us?
Yep.
Do that.
So is this something that was developed specifically for Yang Gang, or is this something that was already existing and we're leveraging it for our, okay, got it.
Yeah, so I wanted to tell everybody a little bit more about this because they might not understand why I'm doing this. They might feel like I'm trying to promote or self-promote or something like that. I'm not trying to spam the group. It's because I think this is a really important. Pardon me? Can you see it or
zoom in a little bit?
Zoom in a little. How's that? Is that getting better?
Yeah, that's
good. Okay, so I was zooming the wrong thing. I was zooming my Facebook, the other thing. Okay, so this is something that's been ongoing. Tom Bond, or this compassion course online, is at the New York City or New York State, I can't remember, Nonviolent Communication Center. So there's a thing called nonviolent communication, which is a technique of talking, which is for peacemaking and for negotiations. And it's also good for every single person to utilize it in their lives in terms of developing more empathy and compassion. So what it does.
July 1st, that's my birthday.
Yeah. Well, it's already started on June 24th. That was yesterday. Okay. But it's a year-long course. So it goes for an entire year. But basically, the reason it goes for an entire year is that it's really for people to practice for a lifetime, because you never become like the perfect person, right? You just keep working on yourself. And the thing is, I think more women have signed up for this so far as I have noticed. A lot of women have jumped on and no men. So now we have opposite issues here. Like you're trying to run a social group where more men are coming and the women are kind of like, I think, hanging back also because I think women have many chances to date. In general, I think the more men will, kind of like, try to, I think women get a lot of offers, and so it's like,
I don't know, Faye.
Men have more trouble. No?
No, I mean, women, okay, men are the pursuers. They're supposed to be the hunters. So yes, they usually make the first move. Why are you laughing? It's true. I'm just we're the catch and the men, they chase and they hunt, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that yes, more offers, but the thing is the wrench in it is that everything is digital now. So, and even the dating apps, there's only so much, that you can learn or know about someone through a digital platform itself. But I feel like since it's all that we have, that there does need to be more of I think it would be valuable to have more effort in getting this awareness level up. So maybe the dating channel is what we use to raise awareness of both for men And then maybe the conversations that are happening through the compassion course can raise visibility on, like how to make that healthy connection with compassion, and dating, and then the course keeping up to date in the course as well. And maybe having the two together will have a more effective outcome for both.
Yeah, I don't know, because we also have this humanity hang thing. Okay, so I wanted to let people know that this compassion course online is based on the nonviolent communications things that were pioneered by Marshall Rosenberg, who is a very famous now all over the world. And this particular course has been happening for 9 years already. And then now they're doing it in 14 languages in 115 countries. So we are connecting ourselves to something bigger than us right now, and to a system that I think we can use to organize, because I think organizing versus mobilizing. Somebody sent me a video saying, this is what you need to know. I said, oh, I got it now. Organizing is when you convince other people that your values are actually aligned and the purposes are aligned, so you can get more people into your movement, right? So you're showing other people who haven't come to that realization yet that if they join you, we can get more stuff done that is actually valuable to them. Versus mobilizing is just calling the gang that's already here. It's just calling the people that you've gathered their email addresses, you've gathered their information, call them up and tell them they need to come. So for you, it's like you want to mobilize the people that you have to join these calls or to join the meetings and start socializing in a certain way. But at the same time, we're trying to grow the group. So we want to grow Yang Gang like 10 times. We have a goal of growing 10 times. How do we do that? We've got to learn how to communicate with people that think differently from us and convince them that they are actually aligned with us, right, as human beings. So that's what I think this is a great tool for. But I'm not seeing people, I think people who see the value in this are the ones that are joining. And so there's some people, I feel like some of the people I need to join are not going to join because they don't see a value in spending their time to do this. And which is why they don't see the value. I don't know. I mean, because I think that because
those people don't realize that those people don't not always do they realize that their way of thinking is flawed, and they don't think they need help.
Right.
They don't think they need this information.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the way I think,
Yeah.
But I feel like this is how we get out of the whole Bernie bro problem, right? If you are constantly online putting out very angry, sort of, I would have to say kind of trolly posts, where you activate people's emotions and their negative emotions, they're not going to join our group. So I thought humanity first. I feel like this is very humanity first, values. And it's strange, of course. Well, but not really strange at all. I kind of expected this to happen. More women are joining because I think more women see the value in that. I
think men will see the value in women joining.
Men will see the value in women joining.
That's what I'm kind of thinking. Yes, I think if it is, I think suppose positioning does matter. So it's like, how do we position this? Do we have maybe a special guest that comes on and talks specifically about the course? Maybe someone, I don't know if you, well, I don't know. I don't think Brooke is single, but someone, maybe Erica, maybe she's part of the course in some way and she comes on and she talks about it and it's a whole promotion and there's a bunch of guys there and they realize, okay, like, let's join this course. This will be a really cool thing to do. And then is there any sort of a platform yet for people who are taking the course? Like, is there any sort of a group or
they have a private Facebook group. And what I'm doing is I'm going to ask the Yang Gang people who are joining to like at some point, maybe join a Zoom call, like what you've been doing, Sola, and just hold a hangout. So there's a lot of these Zoom hangouts right now. And that's another reason why I have a hard time joining because every time I'm on a phone call or on Zoom, then Zephyr has to find something to do by himself. So if it's not something that he can join in, which is almost never, I can't think of there's very few things that he can actually do with me when I'm doing the calls. which makes it like, it's like I'm just taking away from him when I do that. Here's the humanity hangs that are happening from Humanity Forward. Okay, so here's another social context in which I have seen more women and men both in the groups, and it feels a little bit more balanced, more similar to the, you know, sort of the general distribution of people in Yang Gang. So can you see it well? But Humanity Forward is also has a bit.ly link, bit.ly/humanity hangs. All right. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, if you can see that better. Okay. So the humanity hangs are being run with moderators out of it's in collaboration with Humanity Forward. So if you guys aren't joined up with Humanity Forward, you can follow them. I see that I haven't followed them yet. That's terrible. But if you follow Humanity Forward, okay, then you can come and click on the like. I better do that and maybe retweet it. All right. We can get more people into these humanity hangs, which is kind of the same.
Go up and follow them while you're at it.
Yeah, it's like
Fridays.
Huh?
They're on Fridays.
This one is Friday, and okay, so there's 2 different times, and let me see if I can grab that link. Okay, so I wanted to show everybody a couple of things. First of all, there's a directory of documents. Let me see if I can grab that. Oh, shoot. I'm sharing the wrong thing, so I'm going to have to unshare again. Stop sharing. Maybe just do a screen share again. Okay, let me try to do the screen share, which is weird. But here it is. Okay. Can you see the directory of documents? Are you able to see the directory of documents right now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, I see it.
It's just the writing.
It's very small.
Could you zoom in, please?
Yeah, okay. So the directory of documents is it's hard to find. So I'm hoping they're going to make a real website right now. But this is for the Yang 2020 Slack. And so up in the corner here, you can see it says Yang 2020 Slack.
Okay.
So this is the website. And maybe I can have Annette put it up on our thing. I'll grab it and give it to everybody right here. Annette, if you could put it up for everybody, they could see that better. But the directory of documents is the only like website we have right now for the Yang 2020 Slack, which is turned into Humanity First Slack, Humanity First Movement Slack. So those 2 are the same thing. It's just been renamed. And if you click here, then you could join the Slack, okay? And it'll take you to your Slack. A lot of people have already signed on, but they don't know it. Like 20,000 people are signed on, but maybe they signed on once and never came back. And so they volunteers.
It's the old volunteer Slack, right?
Yeah, it's the old volunteer Slack.
Yeah, I still have access, yeah.
Okay, and if you go to that Slack, they're doing humanity hangs, and there's 2 that you can sign up for. There's one on Tuesdays and one on Fridays. So I was suggesting that everybody just do Twitter, right? If you go to Twitter, then you can go there and it will show you, they will have these and you can click on them and sign up. So what if I click on this bit.ly at Humanity Hangs? What happens? Oh, it takes you to that calendar I was just at. And then you would have to click on the day you want. And you can see it's got a description and it's got the Zoom. Okay, and you would click on that link. Okay, and there's your meeting registration. Okay, so then you would register for the one you want to go to. Now you can always register at the last minute and get in, I think, but it's always nice to register ahead of time. That way you will get an email or something telling you, hey, it's time to come.
A reminder. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so there's 3 different ways that people can hang out right now, other than going to, of course, there's also just going to your regular meetings, right? But now we're all kind of meeting virtually. I don't know if any of the Yang Gangs are really meeting in person. Have you met your group in person in Arizona, Annette? I don't know if Annette heard me.
One time. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
That's okay.
One time for Veterans Day, one time for Veterans Day, we got together at a park and handed out Yang bucks and a bunch of stuff. It was
Did you
cool.
have any kids? Did you have any kids show up?
No, I don't remember any kids there.
Yeah, so like parents with kids are really pretty much having to drop out now. You can't go to the protest with the kids because you don't want them rubber bulleted, right? You don't want them losing an eye.
Right.
And then, you know, there's a lot of ways that we don't know how to get together anymore now that we're in coronavirus time. And it's all these virtual things, which none of them have anything for the kids. And so I'm wondering how we can remedy that. Also, we don't have enough older people in the movement, and we need them because they're the voters and they're the grandparents. And I mean, there's just so much that we need older people for. We can pick their brains, right? And I just don't see us organizing events that are going to bring together all the people we need to be here for the Grow 10 Times. And so I'm putting it out there today. You know, anybody has an idea, please help us out and organize it if you can, you know. So that's all the stuff I was really wanting to discuss. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? If you think of ideas, we can throw them out here and play with them.
Yeah, last minute questions or anything
right
from the comment section?
Yeah, let's check on the comment section.
No, nobody's asked any questions. No comments.
See, this is a difficult question, and so we may have to sit on it. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, then, why don't we bring it to a close? And with that, I put up everybody's contact information. Oops. Let's see. So here is mine. Sola, this is my first time being in a live stream with you, so it was a pleasure hanging out with you and getting to know you. I didn't know all of these things about you, and so right on. You're welcome to come here anytime if you have anything you want to announce or whatever it is.
It's funny because Fred has been here several times, right? And he's very good at grabbing all the attention.
Yeah, he's very much Mr. Spotlight. While my comfort zone is usually on the kind of the back end, managing things, you know, doing all the operations and planning and execution is all my thing, and he really enjoys the screen time. So,
which is great. I mean, if that works,
it definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. It's like we do what both of us are very well versed at and comfortable with. So
you're both really good at what you do.
Thank you, Faye. And Annette, I have seen your name here and there.
Hey, do I have friends? Do I have Fred?
Fred's Twitter.
Oh, I was hoping I had I was hoping I had a banner already made up for Fred from the past, but I do not. So, otherwise known as Fred the Felon, that's what he is. Is he still Fred the Felon on Twitter?
Yeah.
Felon_Fred is his handle.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So, Fred and I are working on going to Congress.
And we kept it under 2 hours.
Well, Faye, you said Fred and yourself are what?
I said Fred and I are working on trying to go to Congress together. That's one of the things we're working on together. Yeah.
Yeah, to testify for UBI, right?
I love what he wrote. That would be something great we could read sometime together if he would come out and talk with us again.
I'm sure you'd be happy to.
Well, sometimes he's driving so hard, it's hard to have the conversation.
Oh my gosh, I wish he would just stop taking calls when he's driving.
But it's the only time he has.
It's so dangerous to be focusing on a multi-person call. And I've been in the truck before. We drove from Iowa to New Hampshire. for the primary. So honestly, I don't understand how he tweets so much too, driving that truck at the same time. I could not do it. I couldn't do it. I literally couldn't. And it's concerning sometimes especially when it's bad outside. And he's on, yeah. It's Fred. What are you going to do? I'm not his mother, you know? All I can do is hope and pray for the best.
All right.
All right, Annette. I was saying it's nice to.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Can you hear me, Annette?
I get a lag sometimes. I'm sometimes lagging behind.
I was just going to say it's been great to put a face to the name. I've seen your name all over some of the groups that we're in and some of the awesome work that you do. So it was nice to be able to hop on here and chat with you in virtual person.
Yeah,
right,
Annette,
in virtual person.
Annette is kind of does she's a lot of the back end for us because she does a lot of the moderating. She's at her desk a lot doing like the behind the scenes stuff, and she holds down the technical here too, and is really good at just talking to people. So she's got both going on.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Annette.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. You are welcome.
Bye. Bye.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Yang gang.
Thank you for coming. Yang gang. Claw.
Oh, yeah.
All right.